So we stop them, and we are breaking their confidence level. Yes, there are certain things which you should not allow, but something which it should be allowed, because they will learn that way. So they have a greater tendency of getting into trouble because they want to experience. They want to do things which is normal children cannot do. So then we will think this child is a troublemaker. Whenever he is coming down from the stairs, he jumps to another 4 or 5 stairs, he skips. His hand will break, his leg will break, but he doesn't listen. This child is like this. We just have to provide the protection. So that's, if we understand the active child, it will become easy. So the respect and follow a confident leader. Here comes what we need to do as a parent. If you want your child, active child, to be in control, you have to tell them that I am the boss. And then you have to command these children that I want you to do this. I want you to do that. But if you will tell this child without making any plan, then they will plan for you. They will tell you how you have to move, how you have to go, and what you have to do, because you did not give them the plan. You just said we are planning to do this. What is this? I am active child. I don't listen to commands. So let's go ahead. So what do active children need? Active children need preparation, structure, and plan. If you can plan from ahead, before time, and tell them, for example, on Sunday, we are going to beach first. We will stay there for half an hour. Then we will go for shopping. And then we will go for this shop. And you have to buy within 20,000 shillings, whatever you want. And then we'll go for swing. And this is the plan. They are okay. But if you tell them, we are going to beach and then we have to plan, then they will say, okay, we will go to beach. First we will do this, then we will do this, then we will do that. We will go to shopping. They will plan for you everything. So you have to be very careful when you're talking to them. Don't ask them. If you are asking them, then you have to follow them because they are your leader now. So you have to be the leader. The second thing is they need acknowledgement of their success. They are the people who want to be acknowledged. When they do something, they need appreciation, the acknowledgement. And we are very poor in acknowledging our children. We are very miser in appreciating anyone. That is, unfortunately, in our Islamic culture, which is full of appreciation and acknowledgement, we are the misers. We don't even appreciate our own spouses. We don't even appreciate our own children. What to talk about others? So they need to acknowledge their success and forgive them for their failures. Because these children expect that if I fail, my parents will not say, I told you 1,000 times, but you don't listen to me. See what happened? This is not the way. The way is that you tell them nicely and in the right time. But I am not super active, I'm just active, because I know if I have a leader who has given me a command 5 minutes, then I follow. Because active children follow their leaders. So doctor, you don't have to worry, I will finish within 5 minutes. So the third thing is they need to feel needed and that you trust them. They want to be trusted. Active children want to be trusted. They tell their parents, I can do it, let me try. Please give them chance to try. Even if they fail, it's okay. They are learning. It's a learning process. If you do these 3 basic things, what will happen? When these children get what they need, automatically they become more sensitive, compassionate, and generous. They become responsible, competent, and great leaders, and they make things happen. That's their quality. I have just discussed one temperament, and briefly. I wish I could discuss more temperaments, inshallah, in future, where we understand our children, and when we understand them, we know how to communicate to them, and then they will understand us, and we will build a good harmony. We will build good understanding. We will have more closeness. We will have more communication. We will have affection, love. Your child will not become what you want them to become. Your child will become what you are. You can only protect your child if your child have feelings for you. If your child have a good bond and understanding and affection and attachment with you, then even if the child goes away, will come back. Because the child loves you and respects you and honors you. But if there is no love, respect, and honor, others will hijack your child. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Please write salawat.
Thank you so much, Sheikhna. Please. It was brilliant, actually, 40 minutes exact on the dot talk. Usually when we are in seminars like this, and especially if you are chairing the session, your biggest worry is timekeeping. Some of the speakers tend to, anyway, you know what I mean. So thank you very much, Sheikh. Please, this 40 minutes is not enough to make us child psychologists, so don't think we have become child psychologists in 40 minutes talk. Sheikh has given us a very, very brief outline of what is actually out there. He is conducting course now. I think it's a 2-year course, 4 years course. It's a 4 years course, but at Mars it's 2 years.
It's a 4-year. Every year is 1 year.
Yeah, so it's a 4 years course on child psychology and child upbringing, 4 years. He's conducting this course in Mars. It's for ladies only. I think we will very soon try to push Sheikh to have something similar for the gents. So keep your eyes open to see if there is anything like this for the gents. But the ladies are taking full advantage of Sheikh Shirazi's expertise. So thank you very much. We will keep our questions. I'm sure there are lots of questions. We will have enough time to discuss and ask more questions to Sheikh to tell us more about the different temperaments. We will now call Dr. Kamal to present his talk on challenges of parenting in the digital era. Dr. Kamal, please. Let's invite Dr. Kamal with loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Now, Dr. Kamal does not need any introduction again in the community, but briefly, Dr. Kamal is a dental surgeon by profession, and he is an active practitioner in his field. Very competent one, I can assure you. And he is also a very active member of the marriage board. He is a counselor for the marrying couples. For those couples who really want to have big families, please, I would advise you to meet Dr. Kamal. He is also a very prominent, a very famous lecturer. We all look forward to Saturdays where he gives his talks, and he has got an amazing style of presenting his points, actually. He starts from somewhere and ends up somewhere else, which is very nice. So we will now invite Dr. Kamal to give us some tips on how to raise our children in this digital era. Dr. Kamal, you have 40 minutes.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا محمد وأهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
Maulana Sahib, respected scholars, Mr. Chairman, my dear elders, brothers, sisters, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My apologies to the media people. Last moment, I just submitted my PowerPoint presentation, although it was supposed to be done on the 1st of December. I think he's done a wonderful job to put it up, so let's hope it works. But I prepared it in such a way that even if it doesn't work, inshallah, I will be able to go on. So let's pray for the best. And all the introduction that Doctor gave me, I think he was just doing his job, but it's the half-truth. So challenges of parenting in the digital era is the topic of discussion. So let me start by definitions. If you see the whole topic here, challenges of parenting in the digital era. So what's the digital era? What do we understand by the digital era? So it's an era that is under the massive influence of the internet, digital technologies, cloud computing, the Internet of Things, mobile devices, and virtual reality. This is the age that we are living in. There are many people here who have careers in the digital world. So Tanzania got its first computer in the year 1967. This is history. And in 1974, you know how many computers were there in Tanzania? 7. 7 computers in 1974. But in the past 5-10 years, we've gone from tabletops, desktops, to laptops, to tablets, to smartphones, to smartwatches. We already have glasses coming in, so you'll have your screens in your glasses, and very soon contact lenses. So here we see you're talking to a person, or a person is just sitting there and you see them talking to themselves. And they have their earpods hidden there, they're talking to somebody. There'll come a time when they're looking at you, but they're in another world. So that's where we are heading. This is the digital era. And we can't think of a life without digital devices. So that is as far as the digital era is concerned. Let's define parents. When we talk about parenting, so who are the parents? Who are the key players? So it's obvious, the parents are the mother and the father. But allow me to expand it, and the scholars will correct me here. So there's a hadith from the first holy Imam, Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. I've not put the Arabic, but I'm just paraphrasing. So he says there are 3 fathers. Every person has 3 fathers. There's a biological father. Then there's a father-in-law, your wife's father. And the one who teaches you, your teacher, he is also your father. So I picked this hadith up from a chat group. And I don't know if this was an addition, but maybe it's authentic. So the question asked was, if you have a glass of water, and all these 3 fathers are sitting in front of you, whom do you have to give this glass of water? You just have one glass of water. Whom should you give it to first? So in the chat group, it was there that your wife's father. So you give water to your sasro first. And there's a big discussion after that. So I think it was part of the hadith. But anyways, we'll stop there. So now what we've done is we've extended the definition of a father now. It's not only the biological father, but you've gone horizontal now. So you have a father-in-law and you have your teacher. So the width has increased. And I'll take Sheikh Shirazi's words the other day when we had the orientation session. You say the role of the father, from the hadith again, is to give a good name to the child, to teach him Quran, and to get him married. So now the role of a father is not only restricted to taking care of the child when he's young, teaching, up to marriage, and making sure that he's happily married. So now you see the definition horizontally, breadth-wise, lengthwise is extended. So when you're talking about fathers, so this applies to mothers also. So your mother-in-law, and the lady who teaches you. So this is the definition of a parent. So now parenting in the digital era is the role of the biological father, your father-in-law, and your teacher, making sure that you're given a good name, you are taught deen, something that is useful for you in the akhirah, and to get you married. Sayyid Adil, we heard him yesterday, the importance of marriage. So when I was first asked to speak on this topic, the challenges of parenting in the digital era, I remembered a comedy that I had watched in my childhood. It was a movie that was released in 1980. So for those of you who saw the introductory speech that I had prepared, a 1 minute one or 2 minutes one. So a movie released in South Africa, 1980. It was a comedy. The gods must be crazy, Naudhu Billah. Naudhu Billah was not part of the name. So the gods must be crazy. So it starts off showing a plane that is flying. You can see it on the screen there. And the pilot is drinking Coca-Cola. Again, a problem now. We are boycotting Coca-Cola. But it was Coca-Cola in the movie. But we can say it was Azam Cola for the time being. So we boycott Coca-Cola. So he's drinking soda. And then when he's done, he throws it overboard. He throws it down. And it falls on a village, on somebody's head. And they'd never seen a bottle before. So he picks it up. And that one Coca-Cola bottle changes the dynamics of the whole community. They start using it to break seeds. They start using it to make chapati. They start looking through it. They'd never seen a Coca-Cola bottle. But then there comes a time, there's only one bottle in the whole village. So they start sharing. There comes a time they start fighting. And there are conflicts in that village. Finally, they choose one person, the guy on the screen. They tell him, take this Coca-Cola bottle, go to the end of the world, which to them was the horizon. Just go there and throw the bottle off. We don't want this bottle in the community. So similarly, in this digital age, we have these gadgets that have come in. And to some, it has taken us by surprise. Technology is moving really fast. There are some who have embraced it with two hands. There are some like me who've started pulling their hair, and you see my state. Out of frustration, what's happening to this world with these gadgets? So we have 3 generations here. Sorry, will this video play, Shamil? Will this video play? If it plays, so. If it doesn't, it's okay. It's just to relax you a bit. Let's hope it plays. If it plays, okay. If it doesn't, it's not a problem. Yeah, watch this video. So it's a dining table. Everybody's sitting with their gadgets. And the mother comes in. Instead of serving food, she's serving them gadgets there. She's putting phones and plugs and sockets on their plates. And look at the reaction of the family members. Generation before the computer era, the elderly, respected elders that I see sitting here, they live their whole life. Now, towards the end of their life, they lose their sleep over it, but if they don't get it, they don't miss it. Then there's our generation, my generation. I lived my first years in a digital-free era, and now the second part is in a digital era. So I'm sitting on top of a hill. I've seen that life, and I see this life. And then you have the kids who are not here with us today, who know nothing but screens. You show them the old telephone, they think it's a toy. The old telephone that we had, the rotating one, even the one with buttons. You show them a cassette, a tape recorder cassette or a video cassette, and they'll ask you, what is this? So they don't know anything but screens. It is our generation, the ones who are sitting on the hill. We've seen that generation, and we see the generation to come. It's our duty to define and maintain these values. So the primary goal is for us to get the parenting right, as Sheikh Shirazi just mentioned. So now, what are the challenges that parents face today? In this era, what are the challenges that parents face? Now, when I started making a list, I didn't know where to start. Where to start, where to finish. A big challenge. I was asking Dr. Kazim yesterday, what are you expecting from me tomorrow? I had not prepared my lecture yet. Where do we start? So I thought, let's ask a ma'asum. Let's ask the imam of the time. I could be biased. Maybe it's a problem for me, it's not a problem for others. The way I've been brought up, my Arusha upbringing, maybe Darslam, maybe they have different challenges. Maybe the number of kids that I have, there are people who just have one child here. So I could be very biased. So maybe my problems are not your problems. But when the imam talks about a problem, because he's a leader of humanity, he's God's hujjah on the earth, he's God's representative on the earth, when he talks about a problem, it's not a problem just for that time, it's a problem of the past, for the present, and the future. So allow me to take inspiration from dua number 25 of Imam Zainul Abidin, alayhi salam. Ma salli ala Muhammad wa Muhammad. Fantastic dua, if you read it. So very interesting. The dua, I've divided into 3 parts. I'm not going to talk about the whole dua. The first dua, he prays for a righteous child, for the health of the child, for the physical well-being, for the mental well-being, for the moral values, for the akhlaq of the child. Oh Allah, make him pious, make him obedient. That is one part. The middle part is when he talks about the challenges. What is the main challenge according to the fourth Holy Imam? He says, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. This is the middle part, huh? وَعِذْنِي ذُرِّيَّتِي مِنْ شَيْطَانِ الرَّجِيمِ. Oh Allah, save my progeny from Shaitan al-Rajim. Protect him from Shaitan al-Rajim. Then he goes ahead and he says, فَإِنَّكَ خَلَقْتَنَا وَأَمَرْتَنَا وَنَهَيْتَنَا وَرَغْبَتَنَا فِي ثَوَابِ مَا أَمَرْتَنَا وَرَحَّبْتَنَا إِقَابًا. You know, we are built, it's our fitrah, to believe in Allah. God has wired us in such a way. By default, we are supposed to be obedient to Allah. So Imam mentions it, that you created me and you gave me guidance. The Quranic verse is very clear. You created us and you guided us. فَأَلْهَمَهَا فُجُورَهَا وَتَقْوَاهَا. So he says, I did this. And then he says, وَجَعَلْتَ لَنَا عَدُوًّا يَكِيدُنَا صَلَّتَهُ مِنَّا عَلَى مَا لَمْ تُصَلِّتْنَا عَلَيْهِ مِنْ. You assigned to us an enemy who schemes against us. And you gave him an authority over us in a way that you did not give us authority over him. So Allah created us. He gave us a fitrah, فَأَلْهَمَا فُجُورَ وَتَقْوَاهَا. But then Shaitan is also Allah's creation. And God has given him an authority over us. We don't have authority over him. So this is the first challenge according to the fourth Holy Imam. You allowed him to dwell in our breasts and let him run in our blood vessels. Now I'll stop here for a moment. What does it mean, run in our blood vessels? Does shaitan run in our blood vessels? There are many ways of understanding this. It could be simple hormones. Yesterday, Sister Barak was talking about cortisol, and we talk about adrenaline, and we talk about dopamine, and we talk about serotonin. These are hormones that run within our blood. Depending on how you behave, your emotions, which are triggered by shaitan, these hormones run in your blood, and it has an effect on our emotions, on our mental being. Maybe that's what Imam means. And he lives in our breasts. فَلْيَنْظُرِ الْإِنسَانُ إِلَى الطَّعَامِ. This is the Quranic verse. Let man look at his food. You know, when we eat physical food, and if there's a problem, you go and vomit or you have diarrhea. And you should celebrate that. If it wasn't for vomiting and diarrhea, you'd have been in a big problem. The body has this capacity to take these toxins out if it's not useful or if it's harmful to you. So vomiting and diarrhea should be celebrated, and it's a risk for the doctor also. But the soul, human soul, when one thing goes in, when you see something, it is very difficult to unsee it. When you hear something, very difficult to take it out. It's all permanent in there. So when it comes to taking care of your soul, so he says, he dwells in our breasts. The things that we've taken in, we can't take it out now. Shaitan. So shaitan could be the jinn. It is definitely the jinn, but he has his agents. Shaitanul Kabir. The politicians use it very often these days. And we have shaitan in the form of people who put waswas al-khannas. So Imam goes on, he says, he is not heedless, though we be heedless. Shaitan is not heedless. He's always alert, and he's doing his job. We may be heedless. He does not forget, though we forget. Shaitan does not forget. We forget. He makes us feel secure from your punishment and fills us with fear towards other than you. This is shaitan's technique. So this is the first challenge. Shaitan in many forms. For those of you who have watched The Social Dilemma, a documentary which is available on Netflix, The Social Dilemma, it's a must-watch. Everybody should watch. It'll change the way you use your gadgets and the way you use social media. So it is made by ex-employees of Twitter, Facebook, Google. They have seen what is happening inside there, and now they've decided to make a documentary to bring about an awakening, to tell people as to what is happening in those studios. They are trying to put waswasa, and they're trying to change your thought process. It's being used in elections now. The LGBT movement that is going on just now, 1% shift. Slowly, slowly, they work on you. Bring in small messages. And just like shaitan, whatever you do on the internet stays there. You will forget. The internet is not going to forget it. He is shaitan, the way the fourth Imam has he does not forget. And that data is what is vital. That data is being used, is being sold to advertising companies. They design adverts custom-made for you. They design messages custom-made for you, just to bring that 1% shift in your thinking. Slowly, slowly, a person shifts. وَمِن شَرِّ النَّفَّاثَاتِ فِي الْعُقَدِ. And from the evil of witches who blow on knots. Uqad is knots. The way you have been wired inside, God has wired us. We have knots, we have aqaid. And there are people who come and blow over it. Just a blow. And it's mild shift. Slow shift. So this is where shaitan comes in. The fourth Imam says, the first challenge that he faced in parenting was shaitan. Second challenge is role modeling. The gadgets have been made in such a way that we cannot stop ourselves as parents from using it. So I tell myself, I'm just reading from my iPad. I'm reading a book from my iPad. I'm checking a message from my patient. I'm just writing notes on my phone. But when my son or my daughter sees me doing that, he cannot differentiate. Papa is on the phone. Why are you stopping me from using the phone when you are using it all the time? But I can't help it, Baba. I'm doing some important work. The child cannot differentiate. To him, it's the father or the mother with the phone. So role modeling is another challenge. And as Sheikh said, children do what they see. Role modeling is vital. But with these gadgets in this digital world, it's difficult to role model. So this is the second challenge. First, shaitan, the third party. Second, role modeling when it comes to ourselves. So I'm going to the root cause now, before we come to the children, before we come to parenting, it's the parents themselves. This digital world is having a problem with, it's creating problems in our marital relationships. I'm part of the marriage board, and we see it all the time. The fourth Imam says, we forget, but he does not forget. Shaitan does not forget. In a marriage, sometimes they bring cases and they take out the mobile phone. The husband has forgotten, but the wife and the gadget, I'll tell you 1 year back what abuses he showered me with. This is what he did. I have records. Not only that, as Sheikh mentioned, you're in the bedroom, she is with her phone, you are with your phone. You communicate through the phone, upstairs, downstairs. We have had cases whereby the wife comes and tells us that the husband doesn't want to come to the bedroom because he's playing a game on the sofa. He is addicted to gaming. This is after marriage, huh? This is not before marriage. This is after marriage, 23-year-old, 25-year-old. He's addicted to playing games. The wife is waiting, and the husband is busy playing games. Pornography. What they did before marriage, you've heard of the Coolidge effect, right? Coolidge effect? Anybody has heard of the Coolidge effect here? Yeah? So I'll have to mention this story here. It's all adults, so we can, very fast. I'm running short of time, but I'll tell you. So Mr. and Mrs. Coolidge was a couple. They went on a farm. And they went on a farm, and the farmer took them around the farm. So they reached a place where they had those African cockerels, you know, the jogo, the big jogos. If you go to Dar es Salaam Zoo, there's an area where they have big jogos, 20,000, 25,000 shillings. Very nice looking jogos. So the wife is walking with the farmer, the husband is behind. So the farmer is telling the wife, okay, you know, this is the African cockerel, and it looks nice, but you know what's the speciality of this? It mates with the hen 6 times a day. So the wife is like, really? She says, yes, 6 times a day. He has that capacity. So the wife tells the farmer, please tell my husband, there's a lesson to learn from this. So the husband turns around, the farmer turns around, and he goes to the husband, and he says, this is the African cockerel. And I told your wife that he mates with the hen 6 times a day, and she said there's a lesson to learn, and I should tell you. She says, oh, really? That's a good lesson to learn. But tell me one thing, does it mate with the same hen or different hens? So this is the Coolidge effect. The whole pornographic industry is made based on the Coolidge effect. When you give a person different scenarios, their appetite does not exhaust. In fact, the bar goes higher and higher. And this is what happens in pornographic scenes. They keep on changing the scenes, so the excitement keeps on increasing. This is affecting marital relationships just now. They've done so much before marriage that after marriage, they can't perform. Big problem. Coolidge effect. The wives don't excite them. So this is the third challenge. Fourth, because of the blue lights that is being emitted by the phones, and because it's so addictive, sleep is affected. People are up till 12, 1, 2 at night. They're not getting sleep problems, they're on the phones. And when people don't sleep enough, they become moody, they lose their temper, they fall sick, and they don't have tolerance for their children. The tolerance level goes down. We as doctors, when we stay up, we don't have tolerance with our patients. When they keep on asking questions, we're like, just stop it, And then when you look back, you say, I've not slept well at night. That's why I can't tolerate your questions. My apologies. So this is another challenge. Another challenge is quality and quantity with the kids, quantity time with the kids. We have lost our sense of innovation. When I am sitting with my phone, my kids are playing, and when they come and disturb me, I'm like, please don't disturb me. I'm looking at something really interesting. But I've tried this myself. You keep your phone away, and you sit with them on the ground, immediately you see them coming and sitting on your lap, and they want to play with you. If you see the maid at home who takes care of your children, how innovative are they? They talk to the child. They play with the child. That innovation is there. We as parents are losing that innovation, and we don't know how to spend quality and quantity time with our kids. This is a big challenge of our digital era. Because of our phones, we've lost our sense of innovation on how to interact with people, with our kids especially. Now we come to the effect of digital era on children. This is another challenge. So the fourth Imam talks about the child, he talks about shaitan, and then the rest of the dua is about role modeling. He's asking for things for himself. Only when the person improves himself will he be able to help others. Sheikh, again, his example, put oxygen mask on yourself and then put it on others. So effect on the children, screen addiction. The gadget has been made in such a way that it is addictive. So there's virtual autism now that is being discussed. Professor Karim will tell you more about it. Virtual autism. Kids who are born normal, but the amount of time that they spend between the ages of 0 to 2, it causes autism-like features in the child, which is reversible if the right measures are taken. They start talking nonsense, they start using different voices because they're imitating. And you have autism-like features. So 0 to 2, they recommend, please don't give them phones. It's an easy, nice, beautiful tool, babysitting tool, very tempting. Give it to your child and you can sit on your phone and they'll play with it for hours. Screen time for teenagers, screen time, everybody. The parents are addicted, the teenagers are addicted, the children are addicted. Pornography and music, another problem. Pop-ups just come in. So I was very worried about pornography with my kids. And I said, I'm not giving you a gadget. Lo and behold, one day he comes home and he says, my friend has a phone and he showed us some images in school. He was given a phone by his parents at the age of 9, 10. And he says, he came and showed me these images. I tried to protect him, but somebody else came and ruined it. And whatever they see, they can't unsee. So that is stuck in his mind. So we need to be careful. وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالْحَقِّ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالصَّبْرِ. This has to be a collective effort. It's not enough for just one parent and one family to keep children away from screens, if possible, or to control screens. It's everybody's effort, because you control it, but somebody else. And now they have tablets from the school. So I tried stopping it, and now I have 2 tablets at home. So the school is taking measures to block YouTube but again, it's a challenge. So the West would say, allow them, it's democracy, but control it. The East would say, authoritative, nothing doing. Islam says in between. Let their intellect mature, facilitate the maturing of the intellect so that they can decide for themselves. So it's another challenge which we need to deal with. Information overload, cyberbullying. Professor Karim is going to talk about it. Cyberbullying, they're being bullied online with the games that they get into. They're addicted to games, it leads to cyberbullying. Online privacy and stranger danger. On BBC, there was an article about a sleepy Spanish village called Almendralejo. This was in September. Almendralejo, a sleepy village in Spain, made headlines. How? A person took the photographs of women or girls, young girls, who had posted photographs on social media, decent photos. They took them, and AI generation, through AI, artificial intelligence, made them nude and posted it on social media. Girls of the whole village, all those who had posted their decent photos or normal photos on social media, this person took it through artificial intelligence, made them nude and posted it. Parents were shocked to see their kids nude. This is what can happen with artificial intelligence coming in. Ahsant. Am I allowed to be an active child? Thank you. So online privacy. Our children use social media and they post photographs on Instagram. We forget that Shaitan doesn't forget. And what are they doing with these photographs? We need to be careful. This is a challenge. The dopamine ding, they call it. Every click of the button, every WhatsApp message that you check gives you a dose of dopamine. The happy hormone, the one that you get through drugs also. There comes a time when you see a beep on your phone, even if it's, I've seen people in the namaz, they keep their phone like this, and then there's a bing, and now he's finishing namaz, and the moment Maulana says, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, even before he does Allah Akbar, he picks up his phone, as if he was talking to God, The dopamine ding, he can't just stop himself. He needs that dopamine. That's a challenge. Unrealistic digital comparisons. They try to compare their lives with others. Instant gratification. This is molding us. So our kids now, we were patient when we were children. Papa, khape you don't get it? You can wait for some time. Now kids, khape I want it now. I want it. Why aren't you giving it to me? Why? Instant gratification. Because everything is on a click of a button. Lack of focus. We see this in majalises also. The moment Maulana says something or something that's not interesting, they take out their phones. And the moment they take out a phone, it takes at least 15 minutes to regain that focus. By that time, it's already Masaib, So lack of focus. Children cannot focus. My own son, I was talking to him the other day, and he's listening to me, and I see him nodding his head. He's nodding his head. And I'm not saying much. I just say 2 or 3 words, and he's nodding his head. He says, why are you speaking so slow? Speak fast, finish it, tell me what do you want. This is instant gratification. They can't even wait for me to finish the sentence. You're talking too slow. Instant gratification. This is a challenge. So this is as far as our children are concerned, and this is another serious problem, a challenge. Online dating and spouse selection. They start off there and end up on Shafiq Bhai's chair. Very unfortunate. It's a big challenge. You have a survey, and the first thing they asked was this, an arranged marriage or a love marriage, and where did you meet? Oh, online. It's a big challenge. It's having an effect on our marriages. It's having an effect, if the couple are not okay, it has an effect on the children and the generation to come. So this is another problem. And the last one, this is my personal experience. If I'm praying Fajr namaz, and I finish Fajr namaz, and if by mistake I pick up the phone just to check a message, taqibat for that day is gone. I will not feel like reciting any du'as. I don't feel like reciting any Quran. And even if I'm doing it half-heartedly. This thing has a capacity to divert. Because of the people who are working behind the scenes, if you watch The Social Dilemma, you'll understand. It is created in such a way whereby it gives you the dopamine bing. So you get dopamine through spirituality also, but it takes time. It takes perseverance. You need to work hard. You need to work for a longer time to get the dopamine. It's like running a kilometer or 2 kilometers, or working in the gym for 45 minutes, you get the dopamine. But if you're getting it in a click of a button, the human will go for the easy way. The moment you get your dopamine from the phone, taqibat is gone, spirituality out of the window. Now, I may sound very pessimistic, or I'm giving a very negative image, but there are a lot of positive things. We are sitting here, it's all computers. It's so easy to present, so easy to prepare. We have got closer to family members. COVID time, when we had that isolation, Zoom, Zindabad. You know, we could talk to our family members, people we had never talked to. It's brought families together. It has brought long-lost friends together. We have had blood donations, we've had organ donations. I could buy Luku at 2 o'clock in the morning because of my phone. Ran out of Luku, I didn't have to go to the petrol station at night. Just click of a button. I can make payments so I don't remain in debt through my phone. So many benefits. But yes, we need to be careful. As much as there are benefits, but it's creating challenges also. But we should not despair. Then Alim gave a very good example. He says, you know, when you plant a tree, organic farming, we had gone to Zanzibar, permaculture. Permaculture is all about using organic stuff. So you have a tree and everything natural. And the person who does it in Zanzibar, he says, everything comes from the poo. He proudly says, everything comes from the poo. And he proudly says it. So it's the waste of the animals and the human waste that is used. If you were to put some waste here, nobody would go closer to it. It stinks. But again, it's the same thing that acts as a mbolea, as a fertilizer for the plant. So we have these challenges. It may stink, but just the way Allah created shaitan to increase ourselves, to raise ourselves spiritually, we can use this as a challenge to grow, inshallah. The last verse, I want to finish off with a verse that we hear every week in Surah Jumu'ah. وَإِذَا رَأَوْا تِجَارَةً أَوْ لَهْوًا انفَضُّوا إِلَيْهَا وَتَرَكُوكَ قَائِمًا قُلْ مَا عِندَ اللَّهِ خَيْرٌ مِنَ اللَّهْوِ وَمِنَ التِّجَارَةِ وَاللَّهُ خَيْرُ الرَّازِقِينَ. This tijara and lahu that has come with the digital world. A lot of time wasting, business has gone to another level. In the time of the Prophet was giving a khutbah, and people heard the sound of the horse's hoofs, and they thought a caravan has come in, and a caravan had come in. They left the Prophet and went for that caravan thinking that it's business, and that's where this verse was revealed. وَتَرَكُوكَ قَائِمًا. They left you alone. Today, all the speakers ended with the 12th Imam. Our prophet for today, our leader for today is our 12th Imam. If we don't correct this challenge, it will be the same. وَتَرَكُوكَ قَائِمًا. We are going to leave our 12th Imam alone because we are attracted to our lahu and our tijara. These are the challenges that are facing us. So I'm not here to give solutions. Inshallah, the other speakers will talk about the solutions, but just an enlightenment. We should know what's happening around, how is it affecting us. Now, inshallah, because Doctor said it's a 30-year plan, so now that we've realized the problems, we start working on it, we create solutions, and inshallah, in the next 5 or 10 years, we have a society that is spiritually strengthened, well-developed emotionally, mentally, and we have strong families. And inshallah, may Allah give us the life to witness those days, and inshallah, may He hasten the appearance of the 12th Holy Imam, inshallah, and may He give us the opportunity to live and serve Him during His tenure, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. In time, Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kamal, for the very, very enlightening talk. I'll just tell you a secret. Me and Dr. Kamal managed to get 6 children, alhamdulillah, because we got our digital devices quite late in our lives. Right, so one of the good things about the mobile devices is a disease called digital vision syndrome. Dr. Dato is here, Muhammad Walji is Mudassir. You'll all agree with me, we get lots of patients coming in, lots of parents bringing their children complaining that this child cannot see very well. They close their eyes, they squeeze their eyes, and when you ask them what's going on, they'll tell you about the usage of devices at home. And they tell the child not to use the phones. So I asked the parent, who has given this phone to the child? So actually, it should not be me telling the child, I should be telling you not to give the phone to the child. There is no control anymore now. So thank you very much, Doctor, for that. Very enlightening talk, really. It has opened up a lot of avenues for discussion. I'm sure there are lots of questions, a lot of contributions from the participants here, and we do actually expect a lot of interaction on this session. Now, we will actually take a break here. The itinerary shows that we are continuing, but we'll take a break. I think we have had 2 heavy discussions so far, so we'll take a break to cool down a little bit. We'll have some tea. 10:40 up to 10:50. 10 minutes, please. There's some refreshments behind. You can take your chai and come and sit here. 10:50 sharp, we will resume. The next session will be of Professor Karim, and please be prepared to listen to some very heavy stuff. So take a break, please. محمد وآل محمد صلوات. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على محمد. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. I request all the participants to take your seats. Please, you can have a cup of tea in front of you and continue sipping your chai. I request the ladies also to be seated. We are now resuming our last session for the last talk for this session. I'd like to invite Professor Karim Manji to come forward, please. I don't know where to start introducing Professor. Professor Karim is a professor of pediatric and child health, and he is a super specialist in neonatal medicine. We call him neonatologist. He has published more than 250 scientific papers in reputable journals. He is a member of Tanzania Scientific Society. He is one of the luminaries of scientific circles in Tanzania. He is actually an accomplished scientist. Some of the findings, some of the research that he has conducted has actually changed the textbook treatment that we were taught in medical schools. I can go on. Actually, we need to have a whole seminar discussing about Professor Karim. Like I would say, Wama adraka ma Professor Karim. He was my teacher in medical school. He still is my teacher, and a lot of doctors here that I can see, they will agree that Professor was and is still their teacher. Professor Karim is going to talk about, are we abusing our children? It's a very sensitive topic, and I'll request all of you to keep your notebooks busy, please, and so that we can have some very interesting interactive session after that. Professor, I know the minimum time you need is 2 hours, but I'll restrict you to 40 minutes. Your time starts now. Bismillah.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kazim, for this kind of a glorious introduction. I still feel there is much to do. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين. الحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله. I thank the Almighty to have guided me to where I am and what I have done and what we are able to do, because if it was not His guidance, then we would be in a loss. Tungegharikika. With this start, I would like to first say quickly about what Sheikh Shirazi said about breastfeeding. And when he said about breastfeeding, I looked back and I was looking at other doctors in the house. And I said, he actually touched my heart. Because breastfeeding has been mentioned 3 times in the Quran. In Surah Baqarah, in Surah Luqman, and Surah Zukhruf. And to the extent that if you are not able to breastfeed, then look for a nursing maid to feed your child so that you can pay the nursing maid and get the child breastfed. The profound effect of breastfeeding. Muhammad Raza, don't smile too much. You know my conviction on breastfeeding. That it is so important that the science now in 21st century talks about how important it is to have your child breastfed for 2 complete years, not only for the physical development, but also for the mental, social, psychological, and all the other developments you may think about. The 1,000-day concept of 270 days, about 9 months in pregnancy, and 2 years, which is the 730 days after the birth. A 1,000-day concept is so important. The brain is fully developed, including all the connections, to 95% of the brain's development in the first 2 years of life. That means what you do in the first 2 years of life, as you heard about the screen time, is what happens to your baby's brain. Now imagine a mother is breastfeeding the baby. She is looking at the baby and constantly, unconsciously making dua that let my child grow, let my child nurture. She touches the feet, touches the hands, caresses the hair, keeps on looking at the child, admires the child. That profound effect on the child's psychology cannot be replaced by the bottle, who a maid can just give in. You can just get anybody put the bottle on. We are very easily normalizing formula and bottle, but I think by not breastfeeding our children, question mark, are we abusing our child? To that extent. From many ahadith, sometimes authentic, Sheikh Shirazi, I just quoted you about breastfeeding now. In many ahadith, but it is very well narrated in the Ahlul Sunnah about the Prophet being breastfed by Halima Sa'adiyah. The grandparent of the Prophet was multi-billionaire in his time because he had so many camels, so many capability of bringing whatever from Syria, for anything, from the trade, and giving the best to the best of the creation, the grandson. But he actually asked for a pious lady to breastfeed the child. How much can we learn from this? That breastfeeding is a nurturing event. It is not only a nutritional event. The psyche, the hormones which change into the mother's brain, the changes which happen into the baby, so much so that if a mother breastfeeds another child, that child becomes a mahram of the mother, if it is a boy, and also becomes mahram to other siblings of that mother. It has that much effect. So when we are talking about are we abusing our child, this is one example. The other example is, should we constantly give in whatever they demand to? Should we just say, બધા તો કરે છે તો આપે શું problem છે? બધા તો કરે છે. Is there a line you have to draw that this is not possible? This is a serious problem. And as you heard Dr. Kamal talking about peer pressure, children going to neighbors or friends or relatives, and they have PSP and box X, Xbox, whatever, and all kinds of things. And you are restricting your child from that, and you feel like, are you depriving your child? And so many things. So the question is, are we abusing our child? If I break a glass, whether by mistake or just by experimenting, it is broken and it's producing a very nice katang sound. It's so exciting. And I'm an innocent child. I don't know the consequences of that. And then you come and slap me so hard and call me all kinds of names and say, you know how much it costs this, and you know where this money comes, and you call me all the names and swear at me and call me evil to the extent of calling me haram ni aulad છે તું, આવું કામ કરી શકે છે તું, કાંઈ આ રીતના ગ્લાસ તોડી નાખે છે, તને ખબર છે કેટલા ભાવનું છે આ? Like, you know, he or she did a wrong thing. It is not that he or she is wrong. So tell him or her that this, what you did, was not correct. But you can't judge. and create all the scenario about this. Likewise, what we are doing with our spouse in front of our children is very detrimental. Yesterday I gave an example of how a 6-year-old boy climbs on the back of the mother and beats her, literally beats her up, because he sees the father doing the same. Are we abusing our children by showing these examples, screaming on them, screaming on their most beloved, the mother? What are we doing? So it's important to know this, that violence against children and child sexual abuse is very, very serious. And one single episode can have a profound effect lifelong. We have gone through a lot in life, and we have seen many things. My own eldest sister was married. In a marital relationship, after having 2 children, there's no secret. You may not know it, but some people know it. She committed suicide. Why? Why did she commit suicide? She was at that time the most learned girl in the community. She was a grade B bank officer. She was a very high-placed, educated woman. Why did she commit suicide? For what? So there are many things which run there in your mind. And then what I'm talking is a lot of things happening in the community with a lot of flashbacks. And those are detrimental to our children. So we will see here, are we abusing our children? Dr. Kamal mentioned about the dua number 25 in Saifa Sajjadiyah. This dua is profound, and actually it makes the parent protect the child. You cannot protect the child if you yourself don't do what is written in that dua. But that dua, when you recite for your children, it actually creates you that feeling of affection to the child. And I'll revert here to one story, one dua, which is very important, and it's recited on the day of Arafat. Imam Hussein alayhi salam, in this dua of Arafat, he mentions, Allah, where do I start thanking you? Do I start thanking you of the 4 structures passing through my neck? The blood vessel, the nerves, the food pipe, and the air pipe. They are for survival. What do I thank you for? The pipes which run through my neck, or through the fingertips of my fingers, where I can feel all the sensations, or the vision, or the hearing, or the taste, or the feeling? Where do I start thanking you? Or do I start thanking you for putting the seed of my father in the loin of my mother, and creating a nurturing, nursing care, and changing the psyche of my mother so that she cares of me? Do you see what happens in the psyche of a woman? She's a young lady, she gets pregnant, she thinks about the baby, very vulnerable. She gives birth. The process of birth, no man can experience that. But you can listen from the duas and the things which are narrated, that it actually changes the whole psyche of a mother. In the footpaths of the railway station in Mumbai, the trains pass by, and there are women sleeping in the slums. They would sleep and snore and forget they are in this world. They will have their baby in their arm. But the baby produces the slightest of the sound, she will wake up. But the sound of the train doesn't disturb her. She gets to sleep. But the slightest of the sound in the baby wakes her up. Where did it come from? It came from that psychology which Allah created in the mother. So it's very important to understand as a parent that you have been given this authority, this power of nurturing, and therefore utilize it the right way. Utilize it the way it is required. So this dua is very profound. And I think we should make a habit to read this dua so that we are able to take care of our children. Now coming to sexual abuse. Sexual abuse in children is taken for granted. Sexual abuse doesn't mean that violent rape or molestation or things. Sexual abuse can be very subtle. Sexual abuse can be very unseen. The khayana of eyes can also amount to sexual abuse. The things you say and comment to your children or do to your children can have a lot of effect. And the existence of child abuse is taken for granted. આ ન બની શકે, મારા ઘરમાં ના થાય, અમારા ઘરમાં નથી થતું, અમે તો અહલ બેતના ફોલોવર્સ છીએ, અમારામાં ક્યાં થાય આવી વસ્તુ? આ તો એ ખાલી કાર્યના ફરિયામાં થતું હશે. Excuse me? Whenever there is sexual relation, there is no Mzungu, there is no Kayo, there is no Goro, there is no Asian. It's universal. It is existing. It is present. You should not take it for granted. In the World Health Organization, they call it a silent health emergency. And now they're calling it an epidemic. And in the sustainable goal number 4, the WHO, the United Nations, and all the nations which are signatory to the United Nations have said that eradication of violence against children is a top priority now, globally. And the victim is a silent one. The perpetrator, the culprit, can be a family member. You heard yesterday, Sister Barak said, over 60-80% of the perpetrator is somebody close, somebody related, somebody in the family, somebody who is known to the child. And the family is silent. The family is silent and the community is silent. And the one who is suffering is the child, and the suffering is lifelong. As Dr. Kamal said, the shaitan doesn't forget. The evil thing done to the child doesn't forget either. So what do we define as sexual abuse or child violence? Yesterday you heard all those definitions about molestation and harassment and things. It can be anything. It can be sexual abuse directly, or it can be a sexual play, watching a sexual movie in the presence of children. That's why you have parental control, I don't know, PG rating, R18, U, X, Y, A, B, C, whatever rating. It makes it very difficult if we don't understand how it, and it cuts across all the cultures. So I'm going to tell you something about the statistics here. There is a growing recognition about child sexual abuse. It is universal, it is pervasive, and it's dangerous. The evidence is there, and it's indisputable. So let's see this epidemiology here. Worldwide, about 20% of girls and about 8% of boys are exposed to sexual abuse during childhood. And the highest prevalence is in Africa, with 34% from a globe. We are in Africa. We'll come to Tanzanian statistics. And what are the concerns as cases of child abuse are on the rise in Tanzania? You open any newspaper and open it throughout the week, you will find at least 4 times there is a case of somebody who was caught abusing a child. A teacher was caught abusing a child. Something of this happened to the child. A child was found abandoned and this thing because of being sodomized. A hospital picked up children who have been taken hostage or child trafficking and they have been abused. Every day you will find a news clip in our newspapers. 4 out of 7 days the newspaper will have this article. I challenge you to do that. And you don't only look at Daily News or Guardian, you look at all other newspapers, including local newspapers, Uhuru, Nipashe, etc. You will find these stories. It's on the rise. Girls affected more than boys. And here, the prevalence of sexual violence against children is very high. So, you can see here, 25% in this slide here. Who are the perpetrators? These are research, I'm just quoting them down here. Felix Kisanga and other groups have done research in Tanzania. These are articles. I'm producing evidences here for those who want. In a Dar es Salaam school survey, boys were more affected than girls. There were many problems. Is there financial problem? Is there upbringing problem? Is there a problem of security and insecurity? Is there a lack of agencies of taking care of this thing? Is there a lack of healthcare workers? Is there stigma and discrimination if I go to report somewhere? These are serious problems. And child abuse in urban and rural Tanzania are serious. These are various types of abuse, simple by sexual assault, sodomy, rape, non-touch and touch, child grooming, you heard, child exploitation, including pornography and exhibitionism. So a mother of a child aged 1.5 years comes to the clinic and tells me, do you know, Prof, I'm noticing my son and I do not find any erections happening to him in the morning. So she understands that the child should have an erection early in the morning physiologically. So I find there is a problem. I said, he's 1.5 years old. His hormones aren't developed yet. And it is not necessary that it happens. But you know what? Somebody told me that I should do something so that it starts working. I said, why on earth do you want to know and to want to think about a 1.5-year-old boy being sexually functional? How? So there are deeply imbibed cultural and belief systems which can have profound effect on what you are doing to your child. It may sound like a joke. It isn't. It's serious. Likewise, it comes to the girls. The mother especially comes in and says, you know what? I think my daughter has a problem. And I think when she gets married, she will get into trouble. I think her hymen is not, it's not open. And therefore, she'll have problem in introitus as she grows. She's 6 months old. 6-month-old child. And somebody advises her, okay, right, you are right, it's a serious problem. I think she should undergo a little surgery for it to get her birth canal, the passage open. I said, what? At 6 months? This is child abuse. This is definitely child abuse. How on earth do you ever think that a surgery on a 6-month-old girl whose hymen is imperforate, and you are going to do a surgery because the mother thinks that she will not consume the marriage? How? This is child abuse. It goes beyond only the parent. It also comes to us as pediatricians, as doctors, as carers, as mothers and grandmothers and great-grandmothers and mothers-in-law and fathers-in-law and others, of what we think about our child and what we want to put into their mind, which is not right. So we need to be careful. So it can be child grooming, it can be child exploitation, exhibitionism, and cultural norms. So we talked about uncontrolled access to the internet and pornography. 30% of men in a survey in Boston, you can say Boston, Doria, no, 30% of men in Boston were found to have erectile dysfunction. And they were found to be obsessively involved in watching pornography, as you heard from previous speakers. Is it a problem with us? When you go to a pharmacy, how many, are there pharmacists here sitting in the gent side? Any pharmacist? Yes. You will see that the highest prescription among youths and young men is sildenafil. Sildenafil. If you go, I go to Mbagala and Temeke and all the things, and there was a kienyeji, they are sold all over the streets, the Maasai and others. So I go sometimes and just kneel down and ask, atakwambia dawa ya mafua, dawa ya kikohozi, dawa ya... And then I asked them, which is the most fast-selling dawa? And he said, dawa ya kuongeza nguvu ya kiume. This is the one. This is magic. Just little bit like this and you will be like a stud. Like, okay, fine. It's a problem. But it is the most fast-sold drug. Why? Either of self-gratification or because of the obsession and the things which is happening with this pornography and other self-gratification at a higher and higher and higher level. That is why we tell our youths that masturbation is haram, because you need to have the psyche to think about an event or a book or a scene or a scenario. And then you get aroused. And then you are not satisfied there. Then it goes higher and higher and higher. And that's why it's haram. It's not just haram out of blue. It has got profound effect on the body. That's why we tell the youths and we teach them, but we have to tell them the reason. So, access to mobile phones, laptops, TV, normalizing between hugging and intimate touching. So you find, oh, hi, hello, we haven't met for a long time, and it's hugging between opposite sex, hugging between the same sex, hugging of that intimacy hugging. It's fine to hug your brother. It's sawab to hug your brother. But there should be a limit of what you call hugging, of somebody who is not your brother, but brother-like. That's why you have ways of greeting in Islam. The ways of greeting Islam, cheek to cheek. It's not lip to lip. It's handshaking. A nice, firm handshaking. So you find this becomes normalized. When you go out in the Western countries to study there, it's common to have just a little lip kiss here by your classmate. Excuse me. Like, really? You normalize it. Oh, you are very backward. You are very shy. No, I'm not shy. This is not right. Then it will lead to other things. The lip kiss here, then it will travel in millimeters. So watching shows which has clear and explicit graphics, normalizing what is happening in the Western as a model of what we think is normal. These are all uncontrolled access to internet and all the things. Normalizing that, and therefore the question to us as parents, are we actually abusing the child? Are we creating a background base of encouraging child sexual abuse? Look at the perpetrator. 55% is somebody you know. 55% is somebody you know. The uncle, the elder brother, the parent, a close relative, the driver. So I had this mother who came, she had a extended family. So there are 4 sisters living together. All the 4 sisters are married to 4 cousins. There's a large family. So there are like 25 children in the family. It's an extended family. But I can easily notice any subtle changes in the child. So this lady comes to me and says, this boy isn't eating and he's not well. And he's not his normal self. And every time I ask him, he's crying and showing me his back. And he's not able to say anything. So then I call my daughter, who was helping me in the clinic, and she's a nurse. So I said, Zainab, sit here and let's talk to the child. So the child says, between nursery school and primary school, there is a gap of time. So the bus goes to take the child, and then they have to wait for the primary school child. So there is a 1-hour gap, and the driver is alone with the child. And that's where it happens. The driver says, come, I'll teach you how to drive. You sit on my lap. I want to say more. And this is what was happening to the child. So when the parent realized, they did a lot of measures, but nothing worked at the end of the day. But this is what I'm talking to you about. Trusting, and that driver, the mother swears, Khamsu Salah, I'm talking, 5 prayers, 5 times. He doesn't miss any single prayer. A very trusted, reliable driver. Very pious driver. 5 times he doesn't miss to go to pray in the mosque. He said, I can't believe this happened. And the child revealed it after all that counseling. 55% are the persons whom you know. Where does it take place? It doesn't take place anywhere hidden in the bush. It takes place right under your nose. Right under your nose. And I'll give you an example. It was the month of Muharram, and in the Imambara down, which is similar structure like this, I was sitting there, and I was watching one boy come out of the mosque for going to the toilet, and another bigger boy comes out and goes the same direction. And I had an intuition in mind, because I knew a little bit of what's going on. Thank you. I had an intuition of what's going on, so I went in, and I found both of them entering the toilet, the same toilet together. So I actually kicked the door. To the surprise, that bigger boy was a bit shocked, because he didn't expect anybody during the Masayib to follow him behind. I would be buried in my rumal crying. But I don't know what happened to me. It always happens to me, these kind of things. I don't know why. Whether I'm an ambassador or I'm getting a wahi or I don't know what happened. So I went and I hit him so hard that I broke his tooth. And then he ran away. He ran away out there near our optical. And then I couldn't scream, I couldn't shout, because I have to observe the protocol of Muharram, and there is Masayib going on, and all the people are here. So I followed him there, and I said, I dare you, go and tell your father who broke your teeth. So now, after many years, that person brings his child to my clinic for whatever treatment. And I tell him, do you realize what you have done to that child which you are abusing? If this happens to your child, what will you do to that boy? He said, you know what, I'll be so wild that I might even chop off whatever. I said, seriously? Then I did a mistake. I should not have hit you and broken your teeth. I should have chopped you off. So I'm telling you this. They may sound funny, but these are serious problems. Where it takes place, right under our nose. Who are the offenders? 93% of the time, the offenders are known to the person. 55% close relatives. Why is the child easily vulnerable and victimized? One, they are innocent. They are inherently trusting. You see, when you have a small child, you throw him up on the air, they don't panic. They know you will catch them. They are happy. They want, okay, throw me again, catch me, throw me. Because they trust you. They know there is a trust. So any child trusts the parent, trusts the father. So I'll just deviate a little and tell you a small story. And I read it somewhere. There was after many years of work, this padri, priest, was graduating from priesthood. But this was a different denomination of Christianity where you can marry and have children. Unlike the Catholics where your celibacy is taken as a piousness, which is not acceptable in Islam. So this man had a child, and he got his new Bible, big one, nice, very glossy, and a certificate. So he took home. And there at home, the child was so excited to see what is this new book and things. So he took a marker and started choraing, like drawing things. And he choraed the certificate and the Bible. And the natural reaction would be, what the hell are you doing to this? My certificate, I worked for it for 6 years. Instead, he knelt down and prayed to God. Thank you, God. I always wanted my child to learn to read and write. Now he has learned to read and write. He is actually scribbling and writing. My holy book has become holier, and my certificate is more worth. You see the philosophy on this saying. It's like you want your child to learn some things. When he learns some things, you should appreciate what he's doing. You should see in what the child is doing, why he's doing, what he's doing. He doesn't mind. I don't mind actually for my granddaughter taking a permanent marker and choraing my wall. And I always say I have an intense desire to give a permanent marker to my granddaughter, nicely painted room. And my wife goes like, see, maybe usifanye. But then there is some pleasure in seeing your child grow, right? Of course, with facilitation, what to do. You let a little bit of the childhood come out. And this is why the children are very trusting to you. Show them their self-esteem. Show them who they are. Low self-esteem and problems in school. Children are afraid that they may be disbelieved if something bad happens. The fear of retaliation. And children are afraid that the person who groomed them will stop loving them. There's also a judgmental effect. So one day, I was walking with my son, and as you know, my vocalness about many things. So as I was walking, and my son was walking with me, and there was something which happened, and I said, no, this is not correct. I don't subscribe to something, I have a reason, and I have the democracy and the right to say I don't subscribe to that. So when I said that, my son also picked up the same thing and said exactly what I said. And the elder person says, mtoto wa nyoka ni nyoka tu. You are judgmental. These judgmental things are not correct. We should not be judgmental about the child. So this child was was found to have nails and pieces of sharp glass in his pocket. So when they were seeing him with his hand fiddling inside the pocket, they said, "What do you have in your pocket?" "Ma'am, it's nothing." "No, show me what's there in your pocket." So he finally showed nails and sharp pieces of glass. And they punished him. They said, "This is dangerous things you are keeping in your pocket. What did you intend to do with this?" "Nothing." So he was punished. And then at the end of the day, the parent was called. The parent was a medical doctor. That "You have to come, we have a case here with your child." Okay? So the parent went and asked the son, "Why did you do this?" He said, "Baba, you know that you told that any sharp nail, if it hurts somebody, it can cause tetanus. And any sharp object like this can hurt somebody and cause so much problem that the child can die. I was just moving in the break time and looking for all those sharp nails and needles and glass, and I was putting in my pocket so I can bring home and put it in the dustbin." This is the thought of the child. And the teacher was thinking he's evil, picking this to poke somebody and to hurt somebody. He was protecting somebody. So you need to understand, this child becomes a consultant in emergency medicine because he wants to save lives. It's the nurturing which happened, to believe in your child, that he can do to save other people. He goes out of his way to sacrifice his own life. That sharp thing could poke him. You should have told him that you are doing a great job, but next time do it safely. Instead, you are punishing him for something which he did not do. So I want you to understand, are we abusing our children as teachers? As teachers, are we doing what others have constantly been doing? Judgmental, argumentative, low self-esteem, giving names, where Bonge, where Ivi, where... Why are we not abusing our children? This is abuse. So they are very vulnerable, and this esteem is very important. So what do you do about this? You need to take a careful history, a very careful history, all those things which you have to do, location, you have to ask these questions very carefully. And then you do the forensic collection if it's required. You have to take care during this severe form of abuse, like rape and sodomy. You have to think about HIV, both in boys and girls. And for girls, pregnancy, hepatitis, STIs, and the trauma. So we had about 3-year-old girl who came with trauma to the extent that she had actually a rupture of the rectum, which extended to the abdomen, and ultimately died of sepsis in the abdomen, and septicemia and septic shock, because of abuse by the father who was drunk. Drunkenness, drug abuse, they go hand in hand with child abuse. So there are things which you need to do in order to identify and diagnose and see the conditions. The sequelae, we heard about the short-term and the long-term effects. You heard yesterday from Dr. Barak. But there are some things in Tanzania. Now we have something called the online reporting of child sexual abuse. You can actually go online in this website, report child sexual abuse, and you will find social workers actually knocking your door. So there is, I'll give you the references here. And there is a legal system. I'm sure some of this will be covered about child legal system in terms of child sexual abuse. There are laws here of child sexual abuse of children under 18 and things, and so on. These are all the rules and regulations. So I'll end up here. And we'll talk more about in the discussions. Thank you very much. 2 minutes more. Yeah, there is a, I understand there is a workshop also, and I have 2 manuals here of what can be done if you suspect your child has been sexually abused. How to go about it in terms of counseling, taking the specimen, getting information, recording, getting the evidence, and catching the culprit and putting him to task. Most of the time it's him. Occasionally it can be her, but most of the time him. So I'll end up here, and thank you very much for listening. I kept time, Kazim.
Thank you very much, Prof. We really want to hear more, actually, but unfortunately, we're running short of time. Namaz time is 12:15. We will stop at 12:10 so that we can prepare for Salah. So we have half an hour of open forum. Please direct your questions, your observations, your contributions, your experiences, but keep them short. We have had enough lectures. We don't want to hear more lectures from the audience. Please just keep them very short, to the point, and we move on. 2 is, I request, it will be nice if we can replace our claps with salawat. Salawat. The claps is mubah, I suppose, from the scholars, if you agree with me. But salawat is sunnah, so we get sawab with the salawat rather than doing clapping. So I will request Sheikh Azim, please, Dr. Kamal, Professor Karim, if you can join me here for discussions. We will give more preference to people who want to speak, but we'll also invite written questions from both the ladies and the gents.